And in his grocery store on Mobile Street, that was like the hub for the NAACP. When people would come to town, you can tell me when to shut up now.
I will. I'm about to cut you.
When people would come to town, they would always stop by that grocery store on Mobile Street. Mobile Street was like the Beale Street, like in Tennessee, in Memphis, Tennessee. Mobile Street was that black street where African Americans had grocery stores, taxi cab stands, cleaners, there was a doctor, there was a pharmacist, funeral homes, and all kinds of businesses like that. But in that grocery store, my father used that not only as a source of income, but that was a place where he could network with people and tell them, this is happening. This is what's going on now.
And this is what I want to ask you.
Right.
When he heard that the Justice Department was down there and was going to file a lawsuit against Theron Lind, the registrar, how did your father feel? Was he excited about that and happy to participate and add his voice?
Yes, he was very, very happy because he felt like the federal help was coming now. He wasn't dependent on the state of Mississippi because that would be to no avail, depending on the state of Mississippi, because they had the sovereignty, the Mississippi Sovereignty Commission in place by now, and they wanted things to stay the same. They didn't want anything to change there. They wanted the people in power to stay in power, so to speak. But he was very excited about the possibility of this suit coming to fruition and that they would have the opportunity to vote, because he knew there was power in that one vote. And until he had that one vote, he knew he really didn't have a voice. So he was just very, very excited about that.
Now, you talk about his testimony in your book.
Yes.
What was he able to add to the case that Mr. Dorr was trying?
Sure. Well, we had the great variety of witnesses, and he was somebody who had been the person within the black community who had posted bond for Clyde Kennard, a courageous man who was the first person to try to register as a student at the University of Southern Mississippi, called Mississippi Southern at that point. And he was the co-leader of the Forrest County branch of the NAACP. I think one thing in particular that, that Helen mentioned, though, should not be forgotten, and that's the fact that the leaders, like BF and Vernon Damer, didn't wait for the Justice Department initially. They didn't wait for the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee to be created, because they had brought suit in the early 1950s. Now, this was at a time when, regretfully, we still had an appellate court that was not sensitive to the needs of African Americans, and that changed. That changed largely due to President Dwight Eisenhower nominating 3 great judges. And John mentioned John Brown and John Minor Wisdom, and the third great Eisenhower appointee was Elbert Tuttle. And life changed in the South at that point, slowly.
Where was that circuit? Where was it?
Okay, now that, there's been a change since then, because the 11th Circuit, which is now the extreme southeast corner of the state, has been created. But at this point, the 5th Circuit, and John argued the case on appeal after we had the initial denial of our injunction by Judge Cox, but the 5th Circuit covered the entire south central and southeast at this point.